What's up guys, Dr. D here. We're going to do a video today on songwriting, and particularly we're going to be covering top-down songwriting, which is a name for a process of writing songs starting with lyrics. Basically, you start by writing poetry, and then from the words and the lyrics and the phrases and how you speak them out loud, and they transition into melodic, rhythmic figures, you kind of generate the song from the lyrics and then build down from it into things like chord progressions and beats and other layers of instruments to create a song. So let's get into it and do this thing. Okay, so usually what I do when I start with a song, I need an idea. I need some sort of some sort of emotional thing or an experience or some kind of theme for my song. And usually when I come up with a theme, I like to generate ideas and build off of that and kind of riff for a while with my ideas. And I use this thing called I call it like an idea bubble map or something. So essentially today's example is the COVID-19 quarantine, which I just came out of. I basically started with this core idea, which is what we see in the middle. And then I kind of branched off with larger kind of concepts, so like the isolation of the thing, and then, missing human contact, the mental health repercussions of that, and then the silver lining, a little positivity in the story. Each of these core ideas I built off and kind of developed other ideas, and this is spitballing ideas, something I might have done on a piece of paper, but I did it here on a diagram in Microsoft Word, so it's a little bit easier for you guys to see. So, missing human contact, the weeks inside, car broke down during that time, personal stuff, with the mental health thing, there's missing human contact, the media stuff that you see every day and how that's kind of freaky and causes anxiety, all the issues with people working on the front lines, and then the silver linings, things like cooking at home, having time to call and catch up friends, maybe get into exercising, basically just kind of riffing on ideas. That's kind of the first part of the process. And it kind of gets, a little bit more content material that you can use to write lyrics. Okay, so once you do that for a while, usually what comes next for me in the process is starting to write poetry, more or less, or writing lyrics. You can work with different rhyme schemes. You can kind of follow a pattern, or you can just kind of freestyle rap, whatever seems to work for your process. So I've kind of done this previously, and I came up with some rhyming verses here. One of the things you might consider while you're doing this is working with a rhyme scheme or some kind of structure like that. Maybe you borrowed it from a previous song and you're using that as a model to write your lyrics with. That's a great thing to do, to kind of come up with some interesting patterns with rhyme schemes. Another thing I kind of try to consider during this process, or maybe a little bit later, is the amount of syllables. If you have week 4 being stuck inside, that's like 7 right there. It's a bore, no end in sight. So there's some symmetry, there's some balance, right? I got, in these first two lines here, I have 7 syllables roughly. Week 4 being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end in sight. So it kind of like, things like that kind of help. So as you're writing these lyrics, you might want to consider things like the counts of syllables and forming, kind of symmetrical amounts of those syllables as we go from line to line to line. Don't have to. All this is creative stuff. It's totally subjective. But those are some things that I would consider while you're doing it. It also makes finding the rhythmic patterns a little bit easier, and as you have variety and contrast and repetition of ideas, you're playing with those fundamental elements with your songs and lyric as well. Okay, so after you've written some lyrics and you've fleshed out some ideas and you're looking at these lyrics on the page, the next phase is to start to extrapolate and pull music out of these lyrics. So the way I do that is to sing these things out loud and put them into the space, into the air. This does a couple things. It starts getting the creative juices flowing, and you start kind of, creating melodies, melodic shapes, and rhythmic shapes that come from the lyrics. And everything's coming from the lyrics, and that's why I think this is such a pure way of writing a song, because it starts with the lyrics as the main focus, the ideas, the emotions, the things that make people feel feelings. And then as you kind of pull the music out of those words, everything is in service of those words in such a great way, because it came from the words and from the idea and from the song, and this cohesive thought and this feeling and this storyline that you're doing. It usually works pretty well. So as I sing this out loud, I'm just going to kind of mess around. Week 4, being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. Cause it's sore, kinda sore, cause I lost my ride. It's poor timing, I must confide. Week 4, being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. I'm starting to experiment with different lines. Dun 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 dun. I don't know where that came from. Dun 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 dun. Kind of resolves at the end. Or maybe I want to go low to high. Week 4, being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. Cause kinda sore, cause I lost my ride. It's poor timing, I must confide. You know, and I take liberty and change the words and maybe edit this a lot so it flows better. But this process is what you're going to be doing on your own to sort of flush out the melodic and the rhythmic ideas. Pitch-wise, I'm speaking of trying different shapes, moving from low to high with my pitches, high to low, maybe creating some sort of like, some shape contour to a line, so experimenting with different things. And then different rhythms of how you say these syllables. Week 4, being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. I could break it up, make it slow. Week 4, being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. Quick, and then like more spacious syllables and rhythms. You just kind of play with this until something comes to you. All right. After a point, you maybe settle on something that is working and you're happy with, and try to get it documented. So a few ways of doing that. Sometime you might just record it on your voice memo on your phone. If I'm sitting in front of a computer and a keyboard and instruments and stuff like that, what I usually do is try to figure out the notes and maybe record the notes, and then at that point I have something I can come back to. Week 4, being stuck inside. Na na na, being stuck inside. No, no bore, no, no, no. It's a bore, no. It's a bore, no. Inside. And this is all coming from here and here. This isn't coming from my fingers. I try to like pull music out of my brain and my mind, not flutter my fingers around on the guitar or the keyboard with, because you end up just playing the same things that your fingers have muscle memory for. To keep things pure and coming from the soul and the heart when you write songs, I try to pull things out of my words, and I use the instrument as a way of figuring out what the pitches are, so I can notate this and then start using theory to pull out the chord progressions and things like that. And what I want to do to document this is record this into Ableton Live. Try to figure out what tempo this is, so I'm going to kind of tap my tempo first. Week 4, being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. Now I can kind of come back around here, and with my keyboard, I can start to kind of play along with this and slowly start to build my song. Week 4, being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. Okay, those notes are so wrong, but easy enough for me to edit them. Week 4, being stuck inside. Okay, so that note's wrong. Let me turn on my preview. Okay, so that little microphone headphone thing right there allows me to preview the sounds of the MIDI note when I move it around, so that's kind of helpful. Na 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 na. Week 4, being stuck inside. There we go. Week 4, being stuck inside. All right, so you kind of see what my process is. I've got my sung lyrics here. on an audio track, I am now sequencing MIDI to kind of reflect that. And this helps me solidify what my sounds are. So it looks like I might be in F sharp minor. F sharp minor is the same as A major. Okay, the relative major of F sharp minor is A major. So I'm kind of starting to use theory now. It's like, okay, what kind of chords could I use to play along with this song? If I'm in the key of F sharp minor, my minor 4, my 5 is going to be C sharp. Maybe like a C sharp major to tonicize the F sharp minor. If I think of being in the diatonic key of the relative major, I have a whole strew of other chords that can work pretty well here. If I'm kind of working within that sound, I might mess around with A major, D major, E major. Weak for being stuck inside. It's a bore, no end inside. Kinda sore cause I've lost my ride. That might be a good verse. Okay, so the creative process continues, and I work through the rest of the lyrics. I start kind of doing the same thing with each chorus, each verse. I'm using MIDI. I'm copying and pasting some of these melodic figures that I wish to use again and again, so it's saving me time. I could record my voice again and again and kind of slowly solidify my melodic lines and my rhythms. I could start sequencing drums. I can record my guitar tracks, my keyboard tracks, and essentially I'm using Ableton Live as a tool along the way to document my songwriting process and to get aural feedback right away of the way this is going to sound, right? I'm building a demo. I'm hearing the things that I'm playing in real time and listening back to them and getting that audience impression of like, ooh, I like that, I don't like that. Let's fix that, problem solving, fine-tuning this and editing this until you get to the finished song product down the road after several hours of producing. Cool, so I'll kind of let this video lie where it's lying right now. Hopefully that gives you guys some ideas with writing songs using the top-down method and incorporating Ableton Live and any other DAW you wish to use to act as a tool to help your producing and writing process. Okay, be sure to subscribe, keep producing music. We'll catch you on the flip side. Peace.